Hi, I'm Johnny Johnson, your friend. Psst, okay, we can cut any of this out right
Yeah.
stupid. That's not even what I wanted to say. Hi, my name is Johnny Johnson, and you have just logged on to Truth Off the Hook. Might be a good idea if I just kind of give you a real quick synopsis of my life so you know where I'm coming from. I was hatched in church. My grandfather was the very first full-blooded Indian Assembly God pastor in the nation. So my mom was raised up in that. I've got a great heritage. Uh, I'm seven in a line of preachers over the years. So yeah, sins of the father can be passed on to the son, but blessings of the father can be passed on too. I've had a blessed life. Even for the years I was not walking with the Lord, He was always there with me. Hatched in church, should I say that? When I was 9 years old, I got born again. I completely turned my life over to Jesus, and I remember the powerful impact it had on me at 9. Matter of fact, at 9 years old, I didn't feel like I was a little kid. From that time onward, I was really looking at the deep things of life, questioning things that people believed about the Bible. When I was 15, or when I was 11 rather, the Lord called me to preach. And the vision He gave me was to reach out to those that nobody else would reach out to in society. Called evangelist, it's a fancy word that just simply means somebody who's got the good truth and they're going to give it to you. At 15, I began preaching. I took my first tour in a foreign country, singing and sharing the Lord with people. When I got back from that trip in South America, then my time with the Lord was powerful. The Jesus People movement was happening at that time. I don't know what other people believe about it. To me, it was the most powerful. Well, let me put it this way. It was true revival. And true revival, not only Christians get their mud together, but the lost find the Lord. And during the Jesus People movement, I was on the Berkeley campus in California. I was street preaching, having a guitar up on Sproul Hall Plaza, doing tunes for people. There was a time it was dangerous to be a street preacher at that time, but I loved it. I was right in the middle of all that stuff. Remember one time some hippies opened up a fire hydrant and poured a big box of Mr. Bubble, and everybody's taking their clothes off and getting a big bubble bath in the middle of the street. The cops show up, riot squad. I mean, it was just craziness. Some kids tore the fence down on people's parks and rolled the asphalt up. There's hundreds of them, and said, "This is called People's Park. We're taking the park." Started planting pot plants there and setting up tents and living there. There was always something going on. But that was the time I cut my teeth on actually speaking to people, actually reaching out to people, and getting in touch with not people in the church house, but people outside. Great time. When I was about 20, I joined Youth at the Mission, continued my travelings around the world, got open doors, got to play with Barry McGuire's band, yada, yada, yada. Over those years, I have to say I've lived a full life. If I had died by the time I was 20, I'd be satisfied. But that call in my heart persisted. Some terrible things happened to me in my early 20s. I left God. Rather than blame the devil, I blamed God. He got me all twisted up. I remember flipping God off, throwing my Bible in the Dempsey dumpster, pulling out a bottle of wine, and cussing God out and walking up and down the beach crying and broken and freaked out because He allowed some things to come in my life that I wasn't yet prepared for in my own mind to handle that kind of breaking. When I did come back to the Lord, I was 27 years old. Met my wife, who I've been married to for 28 years now, and we continued working with people. I've done the associate pastor thing. I've done the youth pastor thing, and I was a senior pastor at one time during the Jesus People movement. But when it all boils down to it, those titles mean nothing to me anymore. They really shouldn't be prestigious. If we're going to say something's prestigious and important, then we're going to say, this guy's a believer, that guy's a believer. If that's a fact, that's as prestigious as you can get, because the only one that has that honor anyway is Jesus Christ. So continued to reach out, and the Lord used us like a match to spark youth revivals. I can't think of a better way to put it. And they were never inside of a church house, a rented building, or out in the park, wherever. Then continued being involved in the church. And one thing that happened with me in leadership was my rough edges and my rawness got all buffed off, and I got smooth and more polished, and actually I had lost the edge that God, I know, wanted there. It's back now, and that's cool, and I'm glad it's back, because that helps me deal, and it helps me slice through all the red tape and garbage to be able to just get to people's hearts and show them Jesus right off the top. As the years went on, a friend and I founded an outreach in Seattle called S.W.A.T, Spiritual Warfare and Tactics. It didn't take us much time at all to gain the trust of the kids that live in the street. During that time, I understand there's about 3,000 kids in the Seattle area that lived on the streets from the age of 10 to 15 years old. I remember a young boy who was a hooker or male prostitute or whatever. He looked like he was about 13. Why do you do this? And he says, well, at least I get paid for it, and I get to choose who I'm going to have sex with. In other words, at home, he didn't have a choice. His dad could do whatever he wanted, anytime he wanted. He didn't get anything out of it. No money, nothing. Crushed his life. Out on the streets, there were so many horror stories that even make that one pale in comparison. That was probably the most exciting time of my life. We spent 5 years building the ministry among these you people. And I use the word ministry loosely, because in fact, it's not about founding something. It's not about having bylaws, about having boards. The word ministry should just simply mean a platform of opportunity to reach out to people, touch their hearts with the Lord and with His Word. I became what they call a gang specialist for a while, and I went to city fathers and mayor and police department and taught them about what's really going on, what is the heart, what is the core of gang activity. We moved into California, to Fresno. We lived in a place that was known as Trouble Town. It was not unusual around the clock to hear automatic weapons firing. I remember we lived in a little trailer. It was 12 feet, my wife and I, and we were working within a church house at that time, and it wouldn't be unusual at least once a week for all of a sudden you hear this and you'd look up and there'd be a helicopter above with a spotlight searching a big field out there. These guys would be running every way, and those are the things that excite my heart. I like being right in the thick of it. Then every time that Lynn and I got hurt in church world, we always bounced back. I mean, always. We always forgave, fasted and prayed, whatever we had to do, but we'd always bounce back. And every time we bounced back, boom, we were catapulted into some other platform of being able to minister again to the body of Christ, to those outside the church, to the backsliders, and to those that lost and then never even knew the Lord. What I'm saying, I'm watching for the hype, because I can't stand that. And there was a time where hype was a part of what I did. But this is about now, following Christ is about being real, really being who you are, and getting to know Him for who He is, and not for what people hype Him up to be.